LeBron has missed more shots in NBA history than anybody. He's still a 4-time NBA champion. Kobe Bryant has missed the second most shots in NBA history behind LeBron James. Guess what? He's still a 5-time NBA champion.
The difference between success and complete failure is giving yourself that one last or one additional shot just to see what happens. Not for the sake of just having to do it, but for the sake of fulfilling the purpose.
Better is actually a hard measurement. It's kind of hard to measure better, but for me, in my world, is that do I see some sort of slight improvement each and every day?
What would you say to anyone as it relates to helping them identify their purpose and compress time to living within it?
It's number one, ask yourself,
Welcome back, everybody, to Flipping the Lid. You know what we do here by now. And though one of these most recent episodes, I did my very first solo episode, my favorite is to interview people who are really making a change in this world. Some of the most impactful and influential people, well-known or not, it doesn't even matter to me. But when I meet somebody that's got fire, that's got heart, that clearly can articulate from their perspective in a way that makes it accessible to others, I want them in my arena. I want them here to shorten your curve to learning. And today, I promise you, this individual brings the fire every single time. We met through a mutual relationship, friend, and one of my good buddies, Anthony Trucks, who's been on this show. We both are speakers. We both do really cool stuff, but this guy's got an awesome energy. And we were in a room together, and this guy brought it. And I'm sitting here looking at him like, man, there are a few people that out-energy me. And he did. And so Lasada Pippen is an incredible human, prior computer engineer, motivational speaker, super articulate, unbelievable human. Brother, man, I'm super excited to have you here today.
Brother Brian, very well said, man. You couldn't have done it any better, man. I am so excited, man. So grateful to be here with you. Chop it up. Man, I'm looking forward to this, man.
Well, you know this because you were already on my live show. The only question I ask every guest on both shows after however I introduce you is, Lasada, who are you in your words?
In my words, man, I'm just an everyday guy, man. I'm just an everyday guy that's striving to be better every single day. That's my whole rule, man, is that I want to be better than I was yesterday, and I want to be better now in this moment so that I can be better tomorrow. So I'm just trying to be better every single day, man. Better for my family, better as a human, as a person, as a man, as a leader, as a speaker. Better is my main goal every single day.
So I love that. I also love understanding people's unique definitions or perspectives on words. I think they mean a lot to really be able to understand where somebody's coming from. And I love the concept of better, right? Just better because. But what does better mean to you, and why is better your focus?
Yeah. You know what's interesting, Brian, is that better is actually a hard measurement. It's kind of hard to measure better. But for me, in my world, is that do I see some sort of slight improvement each and every day? And I have to be intentional about measuring that. I have to be intentional about paying attention to that. Am I just a little bit? And I'm not looking for grand change or grand improvement. I'm just looking for the slightest improvement. Do I see the slightest improvement every single day? And if I can say yes to that question, then I've become better or I've improved. If I would say no to that, and you have to be honest with yourself about that, if I say no, then I haven't gotten better. I haven't improved. If I respond the same way that I did yesterday, if I had a problem, and if I respond the exact same way, I didn't get better. I didn't improve. And so I'm just looking for the slightest adjustment, the slightest change or improvement. And that's how I measure better.
Yeah, I appreciate that. What I also want to just dig deeper on and bring this real time into this moment is you talked about better in 50 different categories.
Yeah.
Right? It's better holistically, better in your life, better in all these things. And yet I also know for myself, sometimes it can be difficult to move the needle in every category every single day.
Of course.
And to your point, it's difficult to measure or really make it tangible depending on the category. And so let's bring it down to this moment right now, today. What is one area that you're very specifically focused on becoming better, and how are you measuring it?
One specific area, I would say, first thing that comes to mind is patience with my kids. Yeah, patience with the kids.
You figure that one out. Please give it to me. I'm working on that every day too.
I know. And you know what? I don't know if I'm going to get there. You know, just to be totally honest, like I don't know if I'm going to get there. That's just my aim. That's just my goal. That's just what I'm reaching for. But I don't know if I'm going to get there, you know, if I'm totally honest. And so just patience with them. You know, my kids are 9 and 7. So I am in the thick of it. You know what I mean? They're ever growing. They're ever changing, you know, and just trying to manage that world. So if I had to think of something right now that's most important for me anyway, is patience with my kids. And what that means is that could just simply mean that I can respond with more love. I can respond with an attitude of care and, not be not be quick, you know what I mean? And not be short tempered or so forth. So that's an area that I really want to master as being patient with those kids. And, will I get there? I don't know. But I'm aiming for it though. That's the fight that I'm in. And that's the fight that I'm gonna keep swinging at until I succeed. So yeah.
Yeah. Again, I'm going to get a little like ethereal for a second on this as well. I have a 10 and 11 year old. I deeply resonate with that as an area of focus, and I practice that every day.
Yep.
Right. But I also want to ground this into something a little bit different, because you make the comment, I don't know if I'll ever get there, but I'm not sure that there is ever a final destination in any of these categories, right? It's like this constant evolution of self. And so again, I want to play with this understanding just for a second before we get deeper into your story. But when you say you want to reach mastery there, what does that look like for you?
For me, it's just contentment, and that's what I mean. So when I say I'll never get there, I don't know if I'll get there. Will I get to the place of contentment? Will I get to a place to where I am satisfied with my responses, with my behavior, with that relationship or that area of patience with them? Will I get there? Will I be content with some space or some area of improvement? That's what I don't know. Mastery, that was just a great word choice for the time, but I don't know if getting to a level of contentment will actually happen. And I'm very meticulous. I'm a very meticulous person. I am very hard on myself in terms of how I measure my progress and all that kind of stuff. And so just me knowing that with that backdrop, I don't know if I'll get to the area of contentment, because I always want it to be right. I want it to be pristine and perfect almost. And, and I know that doesn't exist. I know that, but in my mind, that's what I want. And so that's why I preface that with, I am not sure I'll get there. I just don't know if the contentment will ever show up in that space.
That's fair. Lasada, I believe that feedback is permission based, and though you're on my show, that doesn't necessarily mean that I have permission to give feedback. Do I have permission to reflect something back to you?
Absolutely, totally. I love it.
What you just hit on, by the way, is kind of why I was fishing in that area, because I could feel it in your energy, and it was the fact that you are unbelievably hard on yourself.
Totally.
And it is something that it's one of those like double-edged swords. Right? Because this idea of like knowing what you want to become, what you are in certain moments, what you've come from, it also is living in any state other than the present moment in all the greatness that you already do deliver as a father.
Yeah.
And so, with this idea of better, I think that's why where it felt a little bit maybe out of congruence or lacked some of the same definitions of better, because yet with your kids, there is a destination that you hope to get to versus just man, I'm as good as I possibly can be. I am a great father, and I'm doing everything I can to be more patient every day in every single situation. And so we'll come back to this, but like why I wanted to center on this for just a second in terms of reflection is, look, dude, I haven't spent a lot of time with you. I don't know you that well, right? I mean, we've spent maybe collectively 45 minutes of time together, but I do believe I read people relatively well, and I do see things and see people's hearts really well.
Yeah.
Bro, you're a good human and a good father. And the fact that like your focus is to become the best parent that you possibly can, recognizing you only get one shot at this.
Yeah.
I can guarantee you are further down the path than you give yourself credit for.
That's a very fair assessment, Brian. And, again, I'm a very transparent person, man. I'm a very open book. And, I always ask the question of, am I doing a good enough job? And, am I, living up to what I expect of myself to be as a father? I always ask those questions, you know what I mean? And so I appreciate you saying that, because that's hard for me to get to that place to tell myself that. I need to applaud myself more. And, but I never want to cross that line of like, if I applaud myself, is that arrogant or is that, tooting my own horn?
I totally get that.
I'm not that guy, you know what I mean?
I totally get that. And that's why I wanted to reflect it back in the way that I do. By the way, I don't think you have an egoic bone in your body at this point, dude. You're grounded, you're humble, you're accessible. And so again, this is one of those things that it's like, dude, my whole life, people thought I was an arrogant and an asshole. I don't want to be ego. I don't want to be that guy. But at the same time, if I can't own all the work I've already done, if I can't own how good of a father I already am, then I'm constantly living in a state of never being content and never being able to enjoy the present moment and the gift that I already do give my children because I'm great, right?
Yes,
like now, where I'm bringing this back full circle for you though, is the fact that you even asked those questions.
Mm-hmm.
In and of itself implies that you are already further along than probably 85% of others.
Uh-huh.
Right. And so it's not that you're trying to compare yourself to others, because the whole concept of better is comparing yourself to your former self. And so I hear that, but I think that's what I just wanted to reflect before we go deeper into this, and we can unpack further of it through the conversation if it makes sense. But I would like to really just get back into some of your earlier stories for a minute. Right.
Yep.
You obviously started as a computer engineer. You're now in this motivational speaking concept, but take us back further, right? You're talking about this desire to be a good father, to do things in a way that you really have a high standard for. Sometimes that's to model after the father that you had. Sometimes that's to become a father that you didn't have. Sometimes there's a whole variety of other things that drive that. But talk to us about like, what is your early story, Lasada? And what are the components of your early life that got you onto the paths to become a computer engineer initially?
That's totally great. Great question, Brian. The early story is this, and I want to tread lightly here, but at the same time, I want to provide the value and the necessary insight to this question. But the early side is that I didn't grow up with role models. I didn't have any role models. I didn't have even if I searched for role models in my nearest community, I could not find a role model. And even to bring it in a little bit closer, Brian, if I look within my own house, I couldn't find a role model. I didn't have a blueprint. I didn't have someone who was ahead of me to tell me, hey, this is how you do this. This is how you respond to these type of situations. I didn't have those things. And so to answer that question, I would answer it on the side of, it was what I didn't have or what I didn't see that fueled what I wanted to provide and to produce. That's where the fuel came from. Even when I went to college, when I went to college, the way I chose computer engineering, and I don't advise anybody to do this, I just wanted to know what the success looks like. And computer engineering, I knew that they made good money, and I knew that it would be around for a long time. So that's what I wanted. I didn't want to be broke anymore. I didn't want to be poor, because we grew up with very little resources. We didn't have a whole lot. And so I didn't want that. And so I'm standing in the middle of Burger King one day, which was my first job. I didn't have any goals, no dreams, no plans, no ideas. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. There was a college recruiter that showed up with my parents. They brought this opportunity to me. So I'm grateful to them for that, for them bringing the opportunity to me, because I wasn't looking for it on my own. And he asked, hey, do you want to go to college? Just give me a yes or no. And I kind of hesitated, but I gave him a yes. He bolted out of the room, and that's how I was on my way to college. And I was like, well, what am I going to do when I get to college? What am I going to study? I have no idea. I graduated high school with a 1.967 GPA, 2.0 round up. That makes it sound a little bit better. But nonetheless, I said, what makes good money and what's going to be around for a long time? Computer engineering. Yeah. That's how I chose that. So as I'm working in corporate, I'm not in a field that I'm passionate about. I'm not in a field that I love. I'm not in a field to where I feel like I have a purpose, a gift, or a calling. I'm in a field because I made a decision from back then that I was hoping would provide for me right now. And so that's how I got into that field. And so when I left, I also left because I wanted to step into purpose. I didn't leave because of a bad job. I didn't leave because of bad income. I didn't leave because of bad managers, bad people. All of that stuff was great. I had a career that most people would love to have, but I left because I wanted to pursue a greater purpose, a greater calling. I wanted to be in the area to where I would have the most impact in my life. So that's why I left. That's how I got to here today.
I appreciate you treading lightly and being transparent. And I appreciate that there's so many nuances to that story that we could unpack, but I'm going to respect the way that you approached it. What I would like to highlight though is take us back to that, however old you were, 18, 19, 20 years old, and you were asking yourself, what does success look like?
Yep.
What did success mean to you then? And what does success mean to you now?
Yeah, very good. So back then, success was just simply that make good money and have a stable job. That's what I thought success was, because that was the
Which is
message.
more than anybody in your life had growing up.
Exactly. Yeah. And that was the only message. The only message that we had was go to school, get a good education, get a good job. That was the core message. And, this was coming from people who barely graduated high schools themselves. but that's all they knew. So that's all we knew. And so that's why I did what I did, because I didn't know anything else. I didn't know any other way out. And so success then was, oh yeah, I went to college. Oh, I graduated college. Oh, I got a good job. So that was success for me then. But now success looks totally different. Success now for me is all about walking in your ultimate purpose and living out that purpose. And so at the end of the road, once I leave here, Brian, once I'm dead and gone, I don't want to have any questions on my deathbed. I don't want to have the questions of what was I supposed to do? I don't want that question. I want to live on purpose, in purpose right now and max out my full potential. That's what I believe success is.
Yeah. By the way, I completely agree with you. And though my story is very different, there's also a lot of elements of the first parts of my trajectory that were completely about chasing exactly what you just discussed, right? The basic, simple. And I thought if I ever made $100,000 a year, I'd be set, right? Like totally. That was like, that was literally my belief system. And then I made the first $100,000. I was like, oh shit. Not only am I empty, but this isn't really going to go that fucking far. and right. And exactly. So like, there's this whole like reset, but you're talking about it in a lot of the high points, which is great. I want to go a little bit deeper, like knowing that you were chasing a stable job, right? Being able to have consistent income. That was the success. And computer engineering was the path. To your point, it was timeless. It was never going to go away. Shit, it's still not going away. That's right. It's just looking different today than it ever has.
Yep.
Right? It's speeding up rather than anything else right now. How early into the process did you realize that this isn't really aligned with who you are and what you want?
I would say pretty early for the most part. It was pretty early in the process. Even when I think about making that decision of going to college for computer engineering, I knew then, I was like, I don't love this. I don't have an affinity for this. I'm only looking at it as a means of survival. That's the only way that I'm looking at it. And so, after working in corporate, going through, having to work my way up and all that kind of stuff, I just never felt fulfilled. I never felt like this is going to end well in terms of purpose for me. And I never felt that. There was never a day that I would come home and be like, man, I just love what I do. Man, I'm so excited to show up at work tomorrow.
Yeah.
I never, Brian, I never had that moment. And now, if I compare it to now, I can't wait to get up now. I can't wait to show up. I can't wait to do what I do now. So that is a huge difference for me. And
it is a huge difference. Yeah.
Yeah. And so going through that, and I also looked at it from a time standpoint. I didn't want to waste more time just doing something for the sake of doing it. I didn't want that. And so I just knew early that I need to pivot. I need to do something that has more meaning for me. And I think I knew that early. I just think I BS'd a lot of my time, in corporate. And that's not to say that I wasn't grateful, because I am grateful for the career that I had. It did a lot of things for me. You know what I mean? It paved the way to a lot of places where I am today, I believe, So I don't want to sound ungrateful, but
I don't take it that way at all. I think there's a difference of just perspective and a deeper level of understanding of what aligns and what doesn't over time. Right. And yet I also hear very deeply in your story that there was a big part of you that not only didn't feel like you had other options, but because of the influence of your parents and this other counselor that came and drove this, you almost felt like your path was being outlined for you and you needed to walk it is kind of what I heard.
Yeah, it was, because again, I didn't, it's not like I had other choices or options, or no, it's not that. It's not that I was aware of other choices or the options.
That's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair.
I wasn't aware of that.
I would suggest there's many people, right? Yourself and many others who have a story like this that walk down this path, become someone that spends a lot of time getting proficient in a career and an outcome. And then they realize a big chunk in, you realized it a lot earlier than most, but you realized it very early and yet you did it anyway, that you're not really doing this for you. You were doing it because someone else put you on this path.
That's right. Yeah, so that's right. Yep.
So go back for just a second, because we are going to talk about what you're doing today, because what you've done to pull all this together. And, I will acknowledge it as well for those that are listening. Like, you're a first gen college graduate. You're a
Yep.
first gen corporate worker.
Yep.
You're bilingual. You are a STEM expert. You did have success in the corporate career.
Yep.
For all intents and purposes, you fulfilled your commitment to step into that success that you once defined for yourself.
That's totally correct.
Regardless of whether or not you chose the path.
Yep. That's correct.
Go back to that 18 to 19-year-old Lasada.
Mm-hmm.
You're sitting down with your parents. You're sitting down with this counselor, right? Now, you weren't aware of any other options at that time. But if any option was available to you, what would Lasada have chosen then?
If any other thing was available to me at that time, what would I have chosen then?
Yep.
Probably what I do now. Probably communication, honestly. I would have chosen communication because I've always had this sneaky little love for communication and inspiring people. There's always been this tiny little love that was always there. The problem with that is that I didn't know how to go about pursuing that.
That's fair.
Yeah,
That's
I didn't
completely
know.
fair.
Yeah, and I think there was a lot of fear that was involved when it, like, hey, what if I fail? What if I don't make it? What if I don't survive? What if nobody wants to listen to me? What if I don't have any value to provide? I think there were so many questions that I was like, I can't answer these questions, man. Like, let me just do something that's right here in front of me that's available. Let me just do that.
Yeah.
And so I don't think I knew how to approach communication and all of that stuff then, so I didn't know where to start.
Yeah.
So I did.
However, you are
available.
able to identify that you had this little love for it, and you've had this love for both communication and as you said, inspiring people. And so even if you didn't know how to turn that into a career or a profession yet, right? Look at that version of Lasada earlier, because I believe this about you just in the time that we've spent together. You've always been this way, meaning you've always had a smile on your face and it's not just fabricated. You've always had heart. You've always had energy. You've always had an ability to move, connect, speak, like be jovial. Like that's Lasada. Yep. Right? Your vehicle now gets to allow that all to be on display, but not obviously in tech. So if that was always you and you always had this love for communication, this love for inspiring people, given that you didn't have role models, given that you didn't have a model or anybody to look towards, how did those natural abilities and those innate components of who you are with communication and inspiring others show up in your earlier life?
Well, I had to uncover it, actually. And even though it was there, like you said, this has always been me. I've been the same guy for however long I've known. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I had to uncover all of those things. I was very shy, very introverted, and those are still heavy components of me now, like the introvert part anyway. Mm-hmm. I just come alive in certain environments. There are certain environments, you put me on the stage,
you're an extroverted introvert, but you need that internal time, that recovery time. I get you, bro. Right. I'm the same way. Yeah,
I do. Yeah. And I another thing, bro, I can be totally fine in a room full of people and, it can be the life of the party, but I am totally fine with just chilling, just being there, not being the center of attention. Yep. And, some people can perceive that as what's wrong or is something wrong with that person. No, there's nothing wrong. Like everything is totally fine. I'm just okay in this space. Like, because like you said, this extrovert, that's just me. I just need that away time, and I even need that from my family a lot of times. Like I need to be away from y'all for a little while, so, but back then I just had to uncover it. I had to uncover these skills, these gifts, these talents, these abilities. I had to uncover that stuff because I was blind. I was blinded by the message that was placed in front of me. That's what blinded me. So I couldn't see this path that I'm on now. I couldn't see that path. So if I couldn't see it, that means I can't take it. I can't take what I can't see.
Yep.
And so I had to uncover all of these things, and that's just going through life, through experiences and building up the courage and the confidence necessary to step into that space, to step into the full potential of who you are. I had to have the courage and the confidence to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And learn how to coexist with fear.
So there's a lot that came up for me in that answer just as you were speaking, and a lot that I both resonate with and may or may not share some components throughout the questions if it's relevant. But I talk a lot about many high performers or many people who didn't have another option or a different model or whatever, right? Didn't receive the modeling, the love, affection from a father, from a mother, from anybody, right? But many, many, many high performers who have learned to chase success in the traditional ways that you've already discussed that you did, right? Working your ass off, applying yourself, going down a path, no fail, like all of it coming together. Many of us have learned to receive love, validation, and connection through performance, which means it's very contingent upon what we do versus who we are. Right. And there's a big component. You're shaking your head. I'm going to pause because I want to, what's going through you right now?
Yeah. The whole performance thing is that one kind of bothers me a little bit. Not bothers me in a negative way, but it bothers me when I see people only living for the sake of performance, because now you're validating everything about who you are is dependent upon the opinions of other people. Correct. You have given over your ownership to a degree. If you are living only for the highs of the performance, and you have basically said, hey, let me give my ownership over to the people that are rating or judging this performance. And to me, that's kind of problematic, because
I agree.
It's hard to satisfy everyone every time. That's hard.
I agree. There is people, I think, who do that intentionally. I think there's a lot of us who learned to live that way unconsciously, right? Because we did not get the love, validation, and connection in other foundational ways. And so we were good at sports, or we did something and then we got attention and we doubled down and leaned in that path, right?
Yep.
And as you talk about, like, hey, I was shy. I didn't have access to some of these things. I have always been this version of me, but there was fear. There was some shame. There was some walls that blocked me from being able to understand it in myself. You've clearly found that path at this point, right? And you're still on it. Just like I've suggested, there is no final destination. We're walking the path because it's every day about being better.
Yeah.
However, the earlier Lasada clearly defaulted his decisions to some other people in terms of his path and didn't fully see his full value earlier in life. And so if you look at whether it's through your computer engineering stage, through high school, where is it that you learned or gathered and gained the most amount of love, validation, and connection in anything you did? Is it sports? Is it something else? Because it sounds like there was a lot of disconnection for you as well, and a lot of isolation throughout your upbringing. And I'm curious, where did you receive that energy, if at all?
Yeah, that word, that last word that you just said, isolation, that was a safe space for me, being isolated. So I found a way to enjoy my own time, my own space, and embrace. I embrace so many things. I embrace what we didn't have. I embrace the upbringing. I embrace the challenges. I embrace the obstacles. I embrace those things. And I didn't find a problem in those things. But I also made up in my mind that I am determined. I will keep swinging. I will not stop fighting. So I have a fighter's personality. And so I was okay with being alone. There were a lot of times where I would just be in the room just writing. I would just be writing my thoughts. I was a notebook freak. I would collect notebooks, collect pens. Even to this day, do not touch my pens in my notebook. That was the place where I connected. And that was the place where I could express. That was the place where I could write down my thoughts, write down my ideas.
Yeah, it was your safe space. You not only leaned into your introvert, even though you didn't have the language for it then, but yeah, you retreated into yourself and used words and books as expressions and processing in a way that allowed you to have your own freedom.
That's right.
Which I fully get. And so let's bring it a little bit more external, because so much of what you do is inspiring and helping others learn to believe in themselves, largely because of the energy that you're able to shift and give the perspective back in terms of what you believe or what you can see. Who believed in you when you were growing up?
My parents.
Who told you they believed in you?
My parents did. My parents really did. You know, again, if being the first gen, Brian, you know, being in my parents barely graduated high schools. My oldest brother barely graduated high school. My middle brother dropped out of high school. And then there was me. I was the last option. I was the last one who could provide hope for the family, for somebody in the family to go beyond where anybody had ever gone. I was the last hope. And my parents, they believed that. When they brought the opportunity to me, that was their form of saying, hey, we believe you can do this. We believe that you can make it. we believe in you. Even though we didn't do it, we don't have a way to support it that way. We don't know what to tell you to do, but we do believe in you though. And my parents, they sung my praises. They really did, and so I knew that, I felt that, and so that's who believes in me. It wasn't the hood. It wasn't my brothers. It wasn't, a lot of external things. It was my parents.
So thank you for going down the path and even answering that the way that you did. I do believe that that's all true. I can hear it. I can see it. I can feel it. What I also recognize, and I give as a nuance, because this is true for many others who've been in a similar type position, and this may or may not be your experience, but being the last hope is also potentially a great level of expectation and a burden for you to carry, despite whatever the belief is.
Pressure. Yep.
And so how did that show up for you? And what did you do with that energy in those first 10 years of your career trajectory?
Probably smothered it. That's probably why I didn't, go after what I'm doing now until, years later, is because I probably smothered it. I probably felt like, oh, this is good enough. I did check the box. I did become the first. I did become the first to get into corporate. I did become the first to go past, north of 6 figures. So for me, I that probably was a checkbox system in my mind that, oh yeah, this is good enough. But then until I realized that it wasn't. No, this is
you were empty. You checked all the boxes, had everything on the outside, but everything on the inside was still not there.
It still wasn't there. So, but I think that activity of just checking the boxes, saying that, oh yeah, this is enough. I think that's how I handled it or dealt with it for the most part, which is by being able to check a box.
Yeah. And by the way, this loops back even to what I was suggesting earlier with like this performance to receive love, validation, and connection. It's like, you wanted to honor your parents. You wanted to honor your family name. It wasn't to be seen in the spotlight. That wasn't love, validation, and connection in this case, but it's like, oh, I'm the last chance. Yeah. I'm the last chance for the Pippen name to like do something with education, to make a name, to potentially even change the patterns for my own kids, which is clearly the burden you still carry and put on yourself today. Yeah. Right? Is to like make it better so that they have chances that you didn't have. The emptiness I identify with, by the way, I had it all. I had all the outside stuff and watched and looked all around me. And similar to even what you're talking about, it's like, if I look back now, I had convinced myself that this was the right path, that it was going to be what drove me to, the success that I thought I wanted at that time. But yet my bank account was full and I found myself very empty. You talk about that exact same path. You spent about a decade in this tech industry and yet you never were connected to it. What was the turning point for you where you finally decided, hey, this is not for me? And from that point forward, what did that transition into this new life look like for you? Yeah,
that's a good question, because I'm trying to think if I did it for my kids. I'm trying to think if I did it for the future view of my kids. Kind of this whole performance thing that you're talking about, because I've always thought about what is my kids' view of me, or what will their view be of me. And I never want them to see just an average guy. He only went for average. And I felt average when I was in corporate. I just felt average because I guess because I had no purpose connected to it, no why tied to it. So it made me feel average. It made me feel less than. It made me feel like, okay, if I want to tell a story to my kids, is this story compelling? Does it cause them to want to go after far more, than what they can imagine? So I thought about it from a story standpoint, of like, okay, no, we can be entrepreneurs. We can build our business. We can go after our dreams. We can do what we feel like we are purpose, called, and gifted to do. We can do those things. Now I can tell that story. At the time, I don't feel like I don't think I could tell that story then. And so I wanted to change the narrative of the conversations that I would have with my kids, even though they were smaller and younger and could not understand it at the time. I always thought about, okay, what do these conversations look like in the future? And so that was a turning point for me, was that if my kids asked daddy, hey, daddy, what do you do? And if my answer was, hey, I'm a computer engineer, they wouldn't know the deep secret of, but I always wanted to be a great communicator. They wouldn't know that. I know it though. So I want them to hear like, hey, I was doing something. I'm grateful for what I was doing, but hey, I wanted something bigger. I wanted something better. I wanted more. And I went after that and I conquered that. And you can do the same thing. It's hard to tell them they can do the same thing if you haven't done it yourself.
They're watching.
They're watching.
Yep.
And so now I can tell that story in that way. And the turning point for me was just tired. Again, I don't want to get to the end of the road and be like, man, I wish I would have. I wish I would have took the risk. I wish I would have gambled on myself. I don't want to answer that question in a negative way. I want to answer that question as, if I fail, at least I did it. At least I went after it. And so those are turning points for me. I wrestle with this right here. I wrestle with this all the time. And so, you know, a lot of conversations go on right here. And so that's the conversation or the story that I want to be able to tell, is that I went after it with everything that I had.
Look, I resonate, no doubt with that as well. I mean, that was even one of the things I said when I went to execute my buy sell in my last business is that was the easy button. And I don't ever want my kids to see me hit the easy button.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
And not that things have to be hard, because that's a lesson I had to learn the hard way also. Right. Like I had this belief that everything had to be hard that was meaningful. I want there to be easy buttons. I just don't want them to only ever hit the easy button because it's the easier path. If that makes sense.
Yep. That's right.
You know, there's a nuance in even what you just said. And again, I'm gonna just reflect it as it is, because I also hear what's behind it. And I hear the motivation that's really, really powerful. Our kids really can become some of our greatest coaches and also some of our greatest motivators, right? Some of the greatest areas of myself that I've changed and improved have been only because of the reflection I got back from my kids as to the man I was as a father, right? And my desire to be better for them, but also better for me. It is interesting though, because in one respect, you lived your early life to honor and respect and fulfill that last hope for the Pippen family.
Yeah.
And on this side, your current and future could be easily justified in the way you answered that to say, well, now you're living it for your kids, right? What I hear in the nuance behind it is you are living it for yourself, but your kids became a really good excuse to step into it. And and I don't mean excuse for excuse sake, but like a reason, a motivation, a purpose, as you've used many, many times. And so I want you to just sit with that for a second. And can you help distinguish and separate the elements of what you're doing today that truly are 100% for you, because of you, driven by the purpose of who you are and meant to be, alongside doing this to show your kids what's possible?
I love it. The part that is for me is the value that I bring to my clients and their audience. That's the part for me, because that's where I take the great pride in what I get to do. I enjoy the crafting, the writing, the rewriting, the thinking. I enjoy all of that. And so, but that's for me, that satisfies me. That makes me actually happy, is to be able to come up with ideas that I believe would benefit and bring value to the people that are putting their trust in me by bringing me into their company, their organization, or their stage. They're trusting me when they do that. And so I'm grateful for that trust. And so I take the pride in crafting an idea that is specifically formulated for them. But that is for me. I get great satisfaction out of helping other people. And I don't know if that makes sense, Brian, but it does. Yeah. That's where my joy is. Like, are they happy? Are they content? Are they satisfied? Did this bless them? Did this give them value? Did it change their culture? Did it transform somebody? And if any of that is yes, I feel so happy, so grateful that I was someone that could provide that for them. So giving is where I feel like I'm doing it for me. Hey, let me give you something. Yeah. Now the distinction, is that, again, I don't want my kids to experience certain lack or discomfort that I did, even though I am grateful for it, Brian. I am so grateful for what I went through. Yeah, it did. And it gave me this resilience and perseverance that I have today. Without the challenges, without the struggles, I don't have this fighter's attitude. I don't have this fighter's mentality. I don't have the resilience and perseverance. I didn't grow up in comfort. And so I'm grateful for that. But at the same time, I do want to accelerate my kids forward. I want to give them a head start. I want to give them a competitive advantage. I want to do that. So that's the difference for me.
Yeah. And by the way, both are beautiful fuel. So in no way am I diminishing the reasons to do these things for your kids. I think as a father, at least in how I hear you talk about it, you can appreciate there is pretty much nothing that I would not do if it's going to benefit my kids. Like my filter and lens for even the things I'll invest in for them above and beyond myself and all these, like, they are my future. They are my legacy, independent of any other work I ever do from this point forward. But it is important for me that they see their father enjoying the pursuit of what he does.
Yes.
And recognizing that we don't need to become prisoner to this performance and success game that was outlined for so many of us years ago.
Yep.
I told you early in the show that I was going to challenge you a little bit, and all these interviews go completely different because I'm so in the moment and so present, and I don't pre-prepare questions. So I'm going to just say thank you for your patience and like where this is navigating back and forth, because I think we're hitting on some really cool things that I think resonate and really land in your core story. What's also really cool though is as I hear you listen to all that, and even the things that bring you joy. This is a little bit of a cheeky challenge, so please hear it with jovial love and appreciation for you.
Okay.
When you're asking all those questions about like, did this have impact? Did this do this? Are they happy? Are they content? Do you ever actually allow yourself to like celebrate that you did a good job given how hard you are on yourself?
Nope. That's just a straight truth, Brian. That's just a straight, honest answer.
Well, so that's why I'm cheeky challenging you a little bit, because I hear you being like, this is for me. This is where I get my joy. And yet I look at you and I'm like, yep, that all sounds good. And I believe that is where your heart's at. But I think your head chatter takes over and you don't even allow yourself to be like, I fucking crushed that talk.
Probably like, not, man. I don't think I do. But you know what, Brian? I don't know if I know how. I don't.
And that's fair. Again, there's no criticism when I say this, brother, at all.
Yeah.
But you deserve to be able to celebrate when you kick ass. And that's where I see the gap. Because I'm like, the other side to this, bro, is like, I identify as a fighter. Do you know when my life got easy? When I stopped fighting.
Tell me about that. When you stop fighting.
So a fight forces a side. There's a winner and a loser. There's not a single fight I've ever run across that there is not a hierarchy of success or failure, win or loser. Shit, look at the world that we're in today. And I don't even mean this with the color of our skin, but we're sitting here and it's a great example. Everything is fucking black and white. Everything. Right? Look at politics, look at religion, look at anything. Anything that somebody's fighting for, they're fighting to force a side. When in reality, the gift is always in the gray area.
The gift is in the gray. Oof. I like that, Brian. I like that.
Life is about contrast, but my point is like, dude, I used to fight through the pain. I had a shitload of pain. You know my story. I've shared portions of it with you. Right? I used to fight through performance. I used to fight to be right. I used to fight to be seen. I used to fight to defend everything. But the whole point is too, freedom exists when you get to a point where you no longer have anything to justify, protect, or defend about who you are. You seen the movie? You seen the movie 8 Mile?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
You know that last rap battle when Eminem drops it? He's like, man, I did grow up from Ruster Jacks. My buddy Bob did shoot himself. Blah, 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 like all this shit, right?
Yeah.
What happens when he's done with all the ammunition that anybody could ever throw at him, anything that he needed to protect, defend, justify, all the insecurities, all that? He fucking dropped the mic and he's free.
Just let it be. Yeah.
Where I'm coming from, my friend, is that your ability to give at the level that I know you're capable of and you desire is directly correlated to your ability to receive.
And I need to receive from myself first. I need to take a moment, pause, pat yourself on the back, dude. It's okay. You did great. Yeah. I mean, you're right, Brian. I need to get better at living in that
To
space.
be clear, this isn't about me being right at all. I don't care. I don't give two shits about being right. I do care about getting it right for the people that I care about. And even though we have a new relationship, you're somebody that I see so much in. Yep. And I know the impact that you have in the rooms that you walk into. Whether you accept and believe you did a good job or not, I've watched you speak. Mm-hmm. You speak at a cadence and with a frequency that few speakers are capable. Mm-hmm. I know this because I speak at hundreds of events. I've seen thousands of speakers. Mm-hmm. I am often a standout in my ways that I do things, and I'm okay with that. Yeah. But what I also can be very clear on, what you have isn't trained. Mm-hmm. It's not a performance.
Right. This is good, B, because just last week, right? I had finished an event and it went great. And I got booked again from this same.
Of course you did. Right. Of course you did.
For next month, matter of fact, right? But when I was on the phone talking to my wife on the way home from the event, right? She asked me, so how did it go? My response was this. I don't know. I think it was all right. I think it was. It could have been it could have been better. I don't know what they got today. And I was running on like 3 hours of sleep. I mean, I was drained, so I think I found a valid reason to point to something. But I think is what you're saying though at the same time is that no, I don't live in that space, Ryan. I usually do not live in that space.
And by the way, we're not taught how to do this, right? As a general whole. I've had to learn how to do these things. It's a practice that I've been going through. It's just that I can see elements of me and you. And that's part of why I'm reflecting some of these pieces back, because you deserve to receive. By the way, here's a little hack and a little trick that I do. And this is just my own belief, because I used to believe I got anxious or I would have anxiety before going on stage. Uh-huh. And anxiety and anticipation show up the same way in the body. Yep. And it took me a long time to realize that. And so what I did start to learn is it's not really nerves and anxiousness. It's anticipation and it's energy waiting to be deployed. Right. But what does that also mean? For me, the way I deliver, when I step on stage, everything is out. Like I leave it all on the stage and in that room.
Yep. That's right.
Right. Which also means that I could be empty at the end of the talk. Not incapable of continuing to talk or helping people after the stage. That's not what I mean. But like, all the energy came out, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm,
mm-hmm. And it puts me into what I call the valley of despair post-performance. Mm-hmm. Valley of despair is when our frequency and our energy is at the lowest, which means our potential for shame, fear, and cycling is at the highest.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Because we don't have the capacity to actually reason and discern what was, what wasn't, and actually to dissect it.
Yeah.
So I do not, after any talk I give, go into any type of personal review process to actually deconstruct and figure out what went well, what didn't go well, what can I improve for 48 hours post-talk.
48 hours. That's good.
And I allow myself to rest, recover, recharge. And when people ask me, how do you think it went? I'll say, I'm confident in what I do. So I know that I did well and I delivered. Yeah. I always then tell them, I wait 48 hours before I start going through a review to give any specifics. So if you see me again in 3 days, ask me and I'll give you a better answer then.
I like that. That's something I can implement right now.
Today.
Yeah, I can implement that.
All I'm trying to do is help you separate from what I know you do, which is leave it all there. Give yourself the ability to rebuild back up some of that energy, that capacity, that confidence, so that when you do the review, you're doing it from a place of stability, centeredness, and clarity versus I'm empty. Mm-hmm. That's the difference between surrender and fighting as well. Yeah. Do you see the difference?
That's good. Very good. Very good. Yeah. That's a huge nugget, because I can take that. I can see the benefits of that. I can see the value in doing that. And I can see the downside of doing it the way that I currently do it. I can see the downside of that too.
And again, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. It's something that I've learned to do for myself that's beneficial for me.
Totally.
And it seems in our conversation like it would be beneficial to you.
Absolutely.
Bro, I like really appreciate your willingness to just play in this environment right now with us and go down these paths, answer questions, be self-reflective. Like, to me, these are the best conversations. Why? Because you get up on stages in front of tens of thousands of people every single year. Yep. You are a highly sought after speaker and communication coach. Yep. And yet here's the truth. you are really fucking good,
Yeah.
but you're also human like the rest of us, which also means that you have these same moments like everybody else who goes through these things, that shame, that hesitation, that fear, those moments that we can't fully own who we are. And I love to be able to not expose you, because that's not what this is about. It's rather instead to show that you actually are both. We all are.
Correct.
Right? Yep. A work in progress and a version of who we are because of everything we've been through.
Absolutely.
And so we've not talked a lot tangibly about what it is that you do and how you do it today, other than you're a speaker and communication coach. And so I want to have you make this part a little bit more tangible. Mm-hmm. There are thousands of speakers out there. There are tens of thousands of people speaking and very few people with anything to fucking actually say. You're someone with something to say. But why is it that organizations hire you? And Lasada, what is your unique value when you take the stage?
Yeah, that's very good. And I love this part because there are a ton of speakers, Brian, and you know this, a ton. There are a ton of people that can talk. There are a ton of people that can actually speak. There are a ton of people that can, put together a nice demo reel and sell themselves to get on a stage. Not everybody can communicate. Those are three different lanes: talking, speaking, and communicating. They're three different lanes.
By the way, I always say there are trained speakers and then there are effective communicators, and I've never strived to be the first.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Well, when somebody hires me, first of all, they know exactly what they're getting. What you see is what you get. You're going to get an authentic person. You're going to get somebody who's going to customize and tailor every specific word for your audience. I want to meet your need. I'm there to serve you and your audience. It's not about me. It's not like a performance or anything like that. Mm-hmm. What you're going to get, though, what you're going to see on stage, you are going to see this dynamic delivery. You are going to see this dynamic energy, but it's going to be all customized and tailored for you and for your people. That's the difference. And let me say this too, Brian, because I think this is really important, is that I never did this for money. I didn't get into this for money. I didn't get into this for checks. I didn't get into this to snap photos of the stages that I'm on. I didn't get into this for this. I'm in this because I truly feel that this is my purpose and this is where I belong in life. So I have a different reason. I have a different why of when I show up. And, there are a lot of people that do this because of the fame that comes with it, because of the checks that come with it or whatever. That's not me at all. You're getting somebody who is obsessed with doing this right here. And so that's what you get. My very simple goal, Brian, is I inspire people. If somebody asks me, hey, what do you do? I inspire people. That's what I do at the end of the day. I help companies and organizations climb with clarity through purpose, resilience, and opportunities.
All right, we gotta close the loop moment from something you said earlier.
Yeah.
If I was interviewing either or both of your kids right now and I asked them what their father does, mm-hmm. How would they answer?
They'll probably say he taught the people. That's what I've heard them say that before, is that he talks to people or he teaches people. That's how they process it in that world.
What would either or both of them say about you if someone asked them to describe you?
He's tall. They would say he got muscles. I'm just literally telling you what the kid language is, what they say literally, because we've had this happen before. He's tall.
My kids tell people I have a little arm, so it's okay. Like, I get it. It's okay.
Totally. So you get it. Yeah.
You're like,
so they'll say he's tall. He's got muscles. He's really strong, and he's a speaker. That's what they were saying. Literally, they call me, fun dad. He's the fun dad. He's the yes dad. So they got so many little things that they've assigned to me that they've connected with. Like, this is who my dad is. Mm-hmm. So yeah, but that's what they would say. They would say something like that.
I love that. You said earlier, and we've talked about it a little bit as well, but this concept of purpose, right? And yet, yeah. You've always been who you are now. Just took you a long time to find it, uncover it, and get there. And I've often said to people, like, you don't find your purpose finds you.
Yep, totally.
Right now, I'm cheeky in the way that I say that on purpose, because I do think that there's a pursuit of finding purpose that can have it all of a sudden just land in your lap one day. Mm-hmm. What would you say to anyone as it relates to helping them identify their purpose and compress time to living within it?
Three phases or 3 stages into actually walking into or discovering what that purpose looks like, or how you can identify it, at least. It's number 1, ask yourself, what do I love? What am I totally obsessed about? If nobody would ever give me accolades, if nobody would ever give me credit, if nobody would never tweet it, if nobody would never post it, repost it, reshare it, heart it, if nobody would ever do any of those things, would I still find myself doing this one thing? That's something that you love. That's the first part. So you want to answer that first. Number 2, are you good at it? Do you have the skill to actually perform or to do a great job in this thing or in this area where you love it? That's number 2. And then number 3 is, how does it help or serve someone else? Or why do they need what you have, or what do you have to offer? How does it help them? How do they benefit from it? What is the value of it? If you can answer those 3 questions, you can find purpose. Because you can be, so if you're good at something, but you don't love it, that's probably not your purpose. If you love something and you're not good at it, that's not your purpose. For example, like I love singing. I love singing songs that I know the words to and all that kind of stuff. You will never find me on somebody's stage singing or auditioning to sing, because I'm not good at it. That's not my thing. So that's not my purpose. So they have to be connected to each other. So you have to love it. You got to be obsessed with it. You have to love it. You have to be good at it. And then you have to know, how does this help somebody else? What is the value that this brings to someone else? If you can answer those 3 questions, you can find purpose. You can walk in purpose. You can live a life of purpose if you're able to answer those 3 questions.
And what's the legacy you're going to leave with your purpose?
People did what they didn't think they could. People will be inspired to do, to go after, to understand the difference that fail and fail are not the same. FELL and FAIL, they're not the same thing. People will understand that. And so if my words, my energy, my conversations help people to understand that you can always push, you can always persevere until success happens, and that fail and fail are not the same. And just because you do fail, that doesn't make you a failure. If you can understand that, then I feel like I've left a great legacy in the earth, if you can operate from that mentality.
I love that, brother. I have a somewhat funny question. You know, you might remember, even though it was months ago, our intake forms are very, very, very simple. And partially because I don't do a ton of research on people. I don't pre-prepare questions, but it just gives me a little snapshot, right? To just give me something to work with. And I'm calling you out on something that I think is, it jumped out and caught my attention, and not good or bad, just interesting. No. So there's an element in here that says interesting factors about yourself. And most of the time it's like things that either people love, they've done, they do. Like you put, I'm close to taking up guitar.
Oh yeah.
It was like, but I love that it's like an interesting factor is like, I'm considering it. I'm close. I'm really close to doing it. And so help me understand, like, what has either gotten in the way, or are you already playing guitar? What happened with that statement? I gotta know.
I know, that's so cool. Brian, I literally just walked the guitar to my house yesterday from my neighbor. I literally just got one. What was in the way is just time. I just, you know, when you're traveling, you know, you going doing all these events and stuff, and my summer was crazy. And so it just was time. I didn't have the time to actually sit down and commit energy and time. And you know what I mean?
I love it. And I love that you're doing it. It's like, in my mind, I was like, if somebody asked me interesting factors of myself, I'm like, well, I'm really considering learning how to fly. It's like, there you go. I thank you for laughing with me, because I was like, I could like pick anything ambiguous in the future. I'm like, that sounds really interesting. Someday I might consider climbing Mount Kilimanjaro. I don't know.
There you go. Right. Totally. That's hilarious, man. But yeah, so hopefully by the end of the year, I can play something. I can do something by the end of the year. That's what my hope is, you know. So that's where I am with it. So I just
bro, you were the last hope for the Pippen family. So I don't even have to hold my breath, bro. If there's any hope, you're going to be the one to find it and step into it. Definitely. And I'm really, really grateful for you being here with us today. We're going to put all your stuff in the show notes, right? The places people can find you for your speaking and your coaching, and you're doing a whole bunch of other things. But I don't do this on every episode. I've done it more frequently recently, but I do feel compelled to do it with you. Is there a closing message you want to leave everybody with?
Yeah, if it was, it would be very simple. Is to always push, man. Like never stop swinging and never stop taking your shot. You know, I grew up playing basketball and track, Brian, and I saw this fact the other day is that you know who's missed more shots in NBA history than anybody to ever play? Do you know who that is, Brian?
I think Michael Jordan.
No, it's LeBron James.
Oh, is it LeBron James?
Yeah, he's missed more shots in NBA history than anybody to ever play basketball. Number 2 is Kobe Bryant, right behind LeBron James.
They took more shots.
They took more shots, but this is what I thought was interesting, and this is what I would leave with anybody who's listening to this message: is that LeBron has missed more shots in NBA history than anybody. He's still a 4-time NBA champion.
Mm-hmm.
Kobe Bryant has missed the second most shots in NBA history behind LeBron James. Guess what? He's still a 5-time NBA champion. So I say all of that to say is that even with 100%. All of your misses, all of your errors, all of your mistakes, all of your shortcomings, all of the challenges, the obstacles, whatever barrier may be in your way, whatever that is, you can still become a champion.
Yeah.
But you got to keep shooting. You got to keep swinging. And you got to keep rising up every single day. You got to keep going forward. There's a word we use here, and we call it just simply push, is that you persevere until success happens. That's what push means. It's not over until you win. And just because the chapter in the book end, it doesn't mean that your story is over.
Yeah.
That's the message I will leave. That's it.
There is truth to that. I love the analogy and grounding, and even in the basketball and the shot analogy. But you know, this is true for most things. When you see those high outlandish successes in any field, they've typically failed more than anybody else who's gotten there. It's just the handful of times that it hit that they made it. And and the difference between success and complete failure is giving yourself that one last or one additional shot just to see what happens. Not for the sake of just having to do it, but for the sake of fulfilling the purpose. And Lasada, dude, I'm so grateful for you being here with us today, being so open and honest. And man, I really just enjoy your heart, and I had a lot of fun with you. So thank you for being with us, my friend.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for having me, brother. This was awesome, man. And thank you for all the reflective moments that you gave me. I learned a lot even doing this with you. So grateful. Thank you, brother.
I appreciate that. And for those of you that just saw Lasada just flip open his lid and jump in, right? He talked about there was nobody that he had a model to follow. He was kind of pushed down the path that would ultimately be the last hope for his family. And after years of doing it at a high level that met all of his definitions of success, he had a moment where he realized that he still was empty, and he had more in him, and certainly had more to show the world and his kids as a model and as an example. Here's the reality though. Regardless of the fear, the shame, the hesitation, the doubts, any of those components, sometimes it's the how that we lack that causes us to not take that step forward. But if you persevere long enough, the how will reveal itself with enough iterations and enough attempts. So as he said so eloquently, keep taking your shots. And I promise you, you will get there. But it is going to require you to flip open your lid and scan your can. We'll see you next time. What you can probably tell by now is that I love telling these stories, but what I love even more is the impact that's coming from them. You see, we're on a mission to impact over 1 billion lives as quickly as possible. But to do that, we need you. See, we believe that moved people move people. And so all I'm asking is if you've resonated, connected with any of the messaging, please consider commenting, sharing, leave a rating and review. Thank you so much for tuning into Flipping the Lid. And if you want more information on the show, how to become a guest, how to recommend a guest, or any of the other details, head over to flippingthelid.com. We'll see you there.